Graham Norton, finally names 6 celebrity guests he hated most. Have you ever wondered what happens when Hollywood's biggest stars don't play along on talk shows? Tonight, we're pulling back the curtain on the Graham Norton Show's most infamous, awkward, and downright disastrous interviews, revealing the 6 celebs who nearly stopped the show in its tracks. But before we dive in, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you won't miss our next deep dive into the wildest moments in TV history. We want to hear from you. Who do you think will top this list? Let us know in the comments below. Ready for some glamour, tension, and some uncomfortable truths? Let's get into it. For decades, the Graham Norton Show has been a staple of late night, famous for its relaxed vibe, witty conversations, and, let's be honest, a decent helping of wine for guests. But behind that charming set, not every night goes to plan. Graham himself once joked that after years of sidestepping the question, he can finally name the guest he liked the least, and some of these names might surprise you. What do you think makes a truly difficult guest? Is it being wild, silent, or something else entirely? Share your takes down below. Stay tuned, because what you're about to hear gets even more surprising as we go along. Mark Wahlberg. Chaos in the studio. Let's rewind to 2013 when Mark Wahlberg took the stage. If you saw that episode, you'll never forget it. Wahlberg arrived already buzzing, clearly enjoying himself well before anyone said, "Action." Unlike guests who close off, Mark was too enthusiastic, constantly jumping in, making awkward jokes and dominating the couch. The energy quickly shifted from fun to, oh no. Remember the moment he climbed onto Graham's lap, arms slung around the startled host? You could practically feel the studio's collective cringe. Even Sarah Silverman, no stranger to chaos, struggled to steer things back on course. Has a celebrity ever overstepped in an interview that made you squirm? Tell us your picks. But here's the kicker. Wahlberg barely acknowledged how wild the episode was, later brushing it off as just a good time. For fans, it was unforgettable, either as shocking comedy or uncomfortable spectacle. Graham, ever the pro, just tried not to let the show come crashing down on live TV. Is it better for a guest to be too much or not enough? Stick around, because our next guest will show you how the other extreme can be just as tough to watch. Mickey Rourke, the epitome of disengage. Contrast that chaos with Mickey Rourke's turn on the couch. This was not explosive. It was a slow, excruciating fade into silence. Rourke strolled onto the set in sunglasses, his little dog Loki at his side, and immediately checked out. His answers came out as quiet mumbles, barely more than single words. When asked about stories, serious or funny, he gave nothing. Not even another guest's attempt to talk about their own dog could break through his detachment. The studio felt it too. There wasn't even enough tension for drama, just a heavy, awkward lull. Graham did everything to liven things up, but Mickey treated every question like a chore. Would you rather watch a celebrity meltdown or total apathy in slow motion? Chime in with your thoughts. And if you think this is tough, trust me, the next moment gets even more jaw-dropping. Kevin Costner. Too serious for showbiz. If you think an actor can be too serious for a talk show, look at Kevin Costner's famous appearance. No drunken jokes, no outright defiance, just a solid wall of stoicism. Costner wasn't rude, but boy, his responses were so earnest, they stalled the entire show. Graham tried jokes about directing wolves in Dances with Wolves and set up punchlines Costner simply didn't catch. His answers went off on tangents that confused more than entertained, leaving both audience and fellow guests in an odd limbo of polite chuckles and awkward pauses. Have you ever seen someone completely miss the vibe of an event? Drop your most awkward party story in the comments. Let's see whose cringe moment tops the chart. Notice a pattern? The tension on set isn't always explosive. Sometimes it's quiet and every second drags. But that's about to change, because next we talk about a legend who made interviews feel like a marathon of hesitation. Robert De Niro, the master of silence. Robert De Niro, two-time Oscar winner and international film icon, brought almost nothing to the Graham Norton couch. Legendary for his reserved interview style, De Niro spent most of the episode barely speaking, beyond short, hesitant replies and blank expressions. Even with Graham's expert nudging, De Niro never warmed up. In one painfully honest moment, Graham finally admitted to the audience, "This is hard work, Robert." The whole room laughed, out of shared relief more than anything else. Some stars just don't mesh with high-energy, jokey formats. But do you think a guest has a responsibility to entertain? Or does being a legend mean you can sit back and say little? Let us know how you'd react if you were in Graham's shoes. What's coming next is even more tense, because sometimes it's not shyness or drunken antics, but pure dominance, and this next name changed the whole mood of the show. Harvey Weinstein, taking over the room. Before scandal eclipsed his career, Harvey Weinstein was a dominant force, even when just a guest. On Graham's show, Weinstein bulldozed over every bit of friendly banter. He interrupted, redirected conversations to himself, and made sure you knew who the real star was in the room. While the show thrives on group energy, Weinstein's appearance became a strange, uncomfortable press conference wrapped in self-promotion. Even Graham's attempts to joke or pivot were met with long monologues and an air of superiority. Audience members felt the shift, and so did the other guests. Something about his presence felt off from the start. Years later, Graham would recall this episode as one of the most unpleasant he's ever hosted. Not for explosive drama, but for that slow, growing sense that something was wrong at its core. Do you think the host should push back more with guests like this, or just get through it as best as possible? Drop your hot takes. We're reading your comments. And don't go anywhere, because our final guest is the most puzzling yet. Daryl Hannah, the guest who never showed up. Ask Graham Norton about his all-time most difficult guest, and he doesn't hesitate. It's Daryl Hannah, not for a public meltdown or wild rants, but for an absence of participation that left the entire show stuck in limbo. From the moment she sat down, Hannah's answers were clipped. One word, maybe two. Jokes fell flat, conversation went nowhere, and eventually even the audience seemed unsure whether to laugh, listen, or just hope for something to break the silence. Graham called it excruciating, a segment that simply refused to come to life no matter what he tried. For a host famous for creating chemistry out of thin air, this was the one time nothing worked. Sometimes the hardest interviews aren't the loudest. They're the ones that go nowhere, dragging everyone with them. Have you ever experienced a silence so awkward you just wanted to escape? Tell us your quietest disaster in the comments, and be sure to stick around, because what we're covering next week will be unlike anything you've seen. So there you have it. 6 legends who tested Graham Norton's patience and skill far beyond the usual late-night routine. Whether it was chaos, silence, dominance, or sheer apathy, each guest left a mark on TV history. Which do you think is worse for a host? The unpredictable party animal, the stone-faced legend, or the guest who just won't play along? Start the debate in the comments. And if you've loved this peek behind the scenes, hit like, share with your friends, and subscribe for more wild true stories from the world of showbiz. Thank you for being part of our community. What kind of videos would you like us to make next? Let us know in the comments. See you on the next video.